Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Elektor Engineering Insights. We're at episode number 44 now, and I'm excited to be joined by a special guest, Philippe Demerliac, also known as Cyrob.org, a well-known figure in the world of electronics, retro computer, and DIY projects. And he has over 1,500 videos on his YouTube channel, so that's quite a deep dive to go in there. And he's inspired countless makers and hobbyists with his in-depth tutorials on everything from microcontrollers to oscilloscope. And of course, his love, like mine, for all things vintage. So whether you're a beginner or an experienced electronics enthusiast, today's discussion is sure to spark your creativity and curiosity. Philippe, how are you there in France?
Hi, Brian. I'm very good, thank you. Even if today the meteo is very bad. But of course, it's not a problem for now. So it's perfect for me.
All good here in South Africa. We've just gone into spring here, where you've just gone into autumn. So I do have air conditioning on. Hopefully, it's not making too much of a noise. And I must say, Philippe, you have a lot of fans from your channel, which is in French, and I don't understand French. And sorry to your fans who are French joining us that this is in English. Philip graciously agreed to do this in English, but if you're watching this on demand or on rerun, what Philip was suggesting is you put the video on. I don't understand the French. You put the subtitles on, and then choose your language, and I will change it to English. So that's what you can do if you find this at all challenging to follow. There we go, there's English. And that's the only way I can watch Philippe's videos and understand them. Before we go on to Philippe, I want to talk about our sponsor today, because you can't have a lab without components. So our sponsor today is Mouser, and thanks to them for sponsoring us. Do you want to access practical guides to learn more about measuring electrical charges and building custom devices? Would your project benefit from exploring in-depth product and device reviews? Today's show, sponsored by Mouser Electronics, will help you kickstart your next electronics design. Mouser stocks the newest products and components for your innovative projects, suitable for a wide range of applications. So head over to mouser.com to discover more. And then also, before we speak, I do have to mention our giveaway today. We are giving away two NERSI 2-channel phosphor oscilloscopes running at up to 180 megahertz and signal generators. So there's the URL there, Elektor Engineering Insights giveaway. As you see it at the top, we will be back halfway through the show to give you the secret code word that you'll have to type in over here. Now, back to Philippe. Thanks for standing by on all that, Philippe. How is it going? How is it nearing retirement?
Yeah. After many years working first in electronics and after as a software architect, first lead developer and after software architect. Yes, now I have the pleasure to be retired, so I can do all my passion without problem.
You have hardly not been doing your passion. I mean, the amount of videos you have, and you weren't even retired. So we are looking forward to a lot more from you. And yes, you can now focus on your projects of passion.
Yeah.
I see you've got 40 videos with your sidekick counterpart, Maurice. Where did you come up with the idea of having a Maurice?
Yeah, but in fact, basically, it's the idea come from a very famous advertisement in a French TV, where Maurice was a redfish, a little redfish, and a guy says that this redfish eat a lot of chocolate things. So for French people, it's very famous. And after I thought that it was a nice idea to have this kind of mascot, so I used to do it. And now I know that many of my fans like it. If I don't have Maurice or other, because now there is Pincette on other, they claim for it. So.
Yeah, and you go back quite a bit. I'm seeing your Star Wars collection there. Besides Morris, you have a lot of Star Wars equipment on your
Yeah, yeah,
videos.
because in fact, I'm a Star Wars fan,
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
I have a huge collection of RDD2 robots on things like that. So it's just a passion. And maybe one of thing maybe I will do somewhere sometimes is to build full size R2D2 robots just for fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I learned that Cyrob is short for cybernetics and robotics. So
Yeah.
that was an interesting thing to learn. Can I play you some music? You might recognize this tune. I've got a music box here. I brought it out just for you. Star Wars music box. So that was 1977 when Star Wars came out, and you have been an Elektor reader since 1978, 1 year later.
But in fact, I explained in the video that I started electronics when I was 9 years old, because in fact my father gave to me a very old little oscilloscope where I started to play with like a kind of radar, you know. But after
Yeah.
I had the curiosity to understand how it works, and my father, which was an electronic engineer, started to give me some component to build some little gadget and things like that. And after I started to read some magazine, to read some book, and I have the chance that my father gave me a lot of component on some lab equipment like oscilloscope, power supply, and things like that. So, in fact, I started very, very early to make electronics. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a bit young for Star Wars at the time because I was born in 1973. I'm giving my age away here. So by the time Star Wars came out, I was a bit young for that era. But I tell you, I was also interested in robotics, especially talking robots. I don't know if you know these shows, Battlestar Galactica maybe. And then, of course, Knight Rider with a talking car that blew my mind. And now we're sitting here today and I've got ChatGPT with the new voice update. You can just have a conversation with the computer like it's real life. The AI has been going crazy. Has it changed much for you, Philippe, using AI in the last couple of years?
Yeah, yeah. But in fact, I use in my professional job, one of my work was to do some AI system and start to learn to use it. So yes, professionally, but even now, personally, I use it a lot because it's very helpful. Especially, for example, when you want to write some software. In fact, usually I know to work the software, but even I don't remember the function name or thing like that. So if you have the good prompt with an AI, it will generate for you some code. Sometimes it's not the best code, but it gives you some idea, and it's very nice. But something's funny, for example, in a video, I show that with exactly the same prompt, the same AI, they gave two different solutions. They both worked, but one was much better than the first one. So it's you have to take care of that. You know, it's not because there is a solution that it is the best one. This is a solution, and sometimes it do not work at all.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say it's rubbish because it gives you code that doesn't work. But I found it sends you in the right direction. So if, particularly for newer languages that I'm not an expert at, like Python, I can ask ChatGPT to write me a Python script. And even if it's not 100% perfect, it shows me the way to go, which is definitely helpful.
Yeah.
And do you find that you prefer the digital world, or, I mean, your most popular video was repairing a power supply. So you touch on analog and digital and power systems now. I'm more of a digital guy. How about you?
But in fact, you know, I started professionally in a company where I designed some system for industry, which was, let's say, 30% analog and logic. So I designed a lot of cards with TTL, some CMOS, and a ZXT microprocessor, and things like that. So I think, yes, I design maybe more digital, but I use some analog part because there is some measurement system for temperature from a control, thing like that. So, but my specialty is it's more yes, some not high frequency, maybe a system. It's yes, measurement system, something automatic for industry or something like that. Yeah, this is my main knowledge.
Frank DeHart is chirping with some Star Wars. Yeah, I got that Millennium Falcon reading light from my daughter for Christmas. Nice one, Frank.
Yeah, it's very nice. I like it. Yeah, and I have this very funny LoRa robot. Well, I don't want to push it because when it starts, it's impossible to stop. So I prefer to keep it like that.
Frank also comments that he's been using Claude.ai lately, and the solutions usually work just fine. Interesting. I've also used Claude AI, but sometimes I use them to fact check each other. So I'll get a solution from ChatGPT, and then I'll say to Claude AI, what is wrong with this? That helps you to narrow down. So you mentioned having worked on the Z80. Now, the server here, this microprocessor is a Z80.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's you have to program it. You have to do the assembly yourself. Assemble the code by hand.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the junior computer. It's
yeah,
same
that
kind.
was my segue.
And you have to save your software on the tape. And if you are lucky, you can read it again.
Yeah, it's got tape output here, much like the ZX Spectrum, which was also Z80 based. And once you have assembled your code with pencil and paper, then you can punch it in here on the hexadecimal keyboard, which, as Philippe said, is very much like the Elektor Junior computer, which I'll bring up on the stage at the moment. Yeah, now the Junior computer was 6502 based. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Not exactly.
What's your favorite old school processor? I mean, you've gone all the way from microcontrollers from 1980 to using the Atmega 328P AVR from Arduino. Which one is your favorite?
But in fact, as microprocessor, my favorite is the Z80. After microcontroller, professionally, I do a lot of design first with the 8048, and after a lot of design on the 8051 base on all the declination. So I use this a lot. But after, it shows that when I discovered the Arduino, and because it's very easy to use, and now I use mainly for a lot of projects. I use Arduino, ESP32 when possible, and now I just try the Raspberry Pi 2 Pico, which is very powerful. And, I find it very interesting, and mainly the possibility to have the two cores running independently. And I saw a very nice video on Elektor, which explains the communication between the two cores, which was very interesting.
Yeah, that is a bit of a groundbreaker, having those different cores on the same chip. I've got couple of Raspberry Pi Pico 2s here, but I haven't been able to get really deep in depth into them yet. You, on the other hand, have a wonderful lab. If I just bring that up on the screen, you won our competition in 2019, the summer contest for the best lab.
Yeah.
Is that still the space you're working in now?
But yes, now today I am in my desk, because the problem is that the communication between my box and my lab is not good enough to make the video. But yes, this is my lab. Okay, this is my problem. It's a big mess. But yes, this is only a part. In fact, you know, I make to have a collection. You know, of course, I don't use all these devices. I use some of them, and the other is more because you know, when I was a student, we have all the TM500 Tektronix plugins, and I used to learn on it and design some plugins too. So this is why I made a collection of them. And even now, I used to design some system to be in the TM500 plugin. But yes, and now I have 28 oscilloscope, I guess. So.
Why do you need so many oscilloscopes? Just for fun.
Yeah. After, you know, I love to test a new device. So I have the pleasure to review. For example, you can see a mixing oscilloscope, some very nice Seglant oscilloscope, and
even an old CRT oscilloscope.
Yeah, this is a old one. But in fact, in CRT, the best I have is Tektronix 465, which is a 400 megahertz oscilloscope, which is a very nice one. But it shows that now I use only to work. I use only a digital oscilloscope, which is very better than the analog one. Yeah.
And I did notice in your video that you've got Fluke multimeter now. I would have liked to get a Fluke, but it was just too expensive. I couldn't justify the price of the Fluke. Do you find it's worth it to spend that much on a multimeter?
Sorry, I don't understand exactly the question.
Your multimeter, Fluke, is expensive. So is it worth spending a lot of money on a multimeter?
Yes, but in fact, Fluke, yes, I have this one, but for amateur, I think it's better for the same price to have 3 multimeters, because now there is very good Chinese multimeters. It's more helpful to have 3 than to have one Fluke. Okay, Fluke is it's a name, you know, it's a very famous, but it's not. There are good multimeters, but to be honest, now in all the cheap multimeter I test, some of them are very nice. After I have some table multimeter, and I have a K-Site one, I have a Ketley one, DM615, which is very, very nice multimeter too. But to be honest, even for amateur, usually you don't need more than 2 digits after the point. You know?
Yeah. I just replaced mine because the negative symbol was broken. So when I was testing polarity, it doesn't matter which way I put it, it said 12 volts. So that could have been dangerous. Yeah. But I replaced it with a Chinese product. Like I say, the Fluke was a bit expensive.
Yeah, but I tested for Elektor a very nice multimeter, a Seglant watt, a table multimeter, which is very, very, very nice. I like it.
Yeah, and you like your Seglant products, from judging by
yes. Seglant are very nice. Yeah. It's the quality price ratio is very, very nice.
Yeah. Taking a look at your YouTube channel again, I see that your most popular videos tend to be repair related. Do you just randomly take something of yours that's broken that maybe nobody else owns and just fix it and get surprised when so many people watch them?
But in fact, to be honest, I don't like at all make reparation. I don't like that.
Okay.
But of course, sometimes, like anyone, I have some broken device, and I profit of to do the reparation for me, to make a video on it, and it shows that this is the best, my best video reparation. But I'm not making video to say, okay, I want to make a reparation video. When I make a reparation, I make a video on it. And it shows that I gave some advice. This is one of my best video about how to fix a power supply, a switching power supply, to give some advice on the tips and trick to do it.
Yeah. And then there's a Logic 4 flip-flop, and that's got 91,000 views. That's a classic for you. And also you analyze schematics. You have some of your viewers send schematics to you that you can analyze.
Yeah. Yes, it's a playlist I have. And yes, some people send me some schematic to have an analysis. And these videos are very. I know that many people like them. So I have some playlist. So I have a schematic. I have a fan. On what fan? This is people which send me some any device or component or thing like that. And this is I just received one 2 or 3 days ago. I will make a video on it. It's a very a strange frequency meter. But yeah, I have in fact a lot of subjects, and as you say, I have now I don't know exactly, but more than 1,500 videos, something like that. So it's not easy to find them.
Spread out over live and pre-recorded. Now this font over here that you're using, what is that? Is that something from Star Wars?
Looks like something from not from Star Wars, but it's just a joke.
Okay. I was trying to decode it, but I couldn't figure it out. I was hoping you would help me with the secrets to your special. Let's take some comments here. From Yan, there's no English-French translation on YouTube. Yes, apologies. That will not be on the live show, but when you watch this again on demand later on, then the automatic translation feature will be there from YouTube. And Practical Electronics says in 2100 they will talk about Arduino as they talk now about old computers. 2100 is a while to go. I think it will be sooner than that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, our regular guest here at Baltic Lab. Hello to you, Sebastian. Now, Philippe, you've been doing this for 10 years, at least on YouTube you have. Do you sometimes get surprised when you put up a video and it just has amazing number of views? You never quite know what to expect, what's going to be popular and what's not.
Yes. In fact, I was very surprised when I started. In fact, my first motivation when I started, there is very few electronic channel in French. So it was my first motivation. So when I started, I make very short video, between 3 and 5 minutes, and for any subject I have in mind. But I do a lot, maybe quite every day, okay, but a very small one. And after, I was very surprised to see that I have more and more followers. And after, of course, I always try to show my what I like. No, in fact, I don't make video for any money, because I have the chance to have a work. So it's really more to share my my hobby, okay, on some knowledge, on things like that. It's not. But yes, in fact, as you say, the fixing video are the best one, even if it's not as I said, I don't like that. But,
Yeah. And it's very specific products, like your microwave video is number 3
yeah,
there.
for instance, yeah.
Very interesting. And I see you're not big into shorts. You've only got a handful of short videos. Not
Yeah,
really your
there
thing.
is very few, but to be honest, I don't like it. I find the short to make short, you have most to use your smartphone. I think it's fun. I think it's not easy to do, and no, I do very few of them, but it's not my. It's not really what I want to do, and I stay on the YouTube because uh, some other platform like TikTok, or it's not for my public. If I saw the statistic of my channel, I have only, I guess, 3 or 5% under 20 years old. It's really a channel more for people of my generation or just after. But for now, I am on the YouTube only. I have made an automatic synchronization with Odyssey to have a kind of backup, But my main, I will remain, I guess, on the YouTube.
Well, you hope you get some money from it to pay for all the toys. I know you get some donations of some toys sometimes, but
sometimes, yes, I have some donation, so it's very sympathetic, very nice. But you basically, as I said, I do not make Cyrob for financial, because if I want to earn money for the same time, I can make a C++ development. That I will earn much more money.
yeah. Can we go back to the junior computer, if you don't mind? I'm curious about this one. This was 1980. I'm looking at the English version, but you obviously had the French version of the magazine.
Yeah.
And did you get this originally in 1980, or was it something you got later?
No. At this time, I use other system but my first personal computer was a Commodore PET 2001, which used the same microprocessor, the PET has a BASIC, but if you want to go fast, you have to do assembly. So I used to do a lot of assembly with the same microprocessor, the 6502, and I use it a lot. It was a nice microprocessor because it has, the post on the pre-indexation system, which was very helpful. But after I built some cards, which was very close. But no, in fact, I never had a junior computer before the fan which sent it to me to make the video. But I use a similar system.
And the classic Elektor blue board,
Yeah.
which even on the first project I had was this one over here, which I said to you earlier. It converts video from composite or S video to RGB. So I'm curious, Philippe, have you worked much with video signals in your time?
Not a lot. In fact, yes, I designed in the 19 years. I designed video cards, a Europe format to make a kind of CRT of a terminal for computer.
Yeah.
And but it was funny because I designed it all with TTL circuit, and when I finished it, I saw that there was a new integrated circuit which do the same than my card in one circuit. But at this time, it's happened very often, that if you always wait for the new circuit, you never do anything, But it was a very nice card. We using dynamic RAM with a refresh system on everything. That Elektor has designed a nice card for memory. And I built, Elektor in the past has designed a card with a Z80. It's a buffer for printer, Centronics printer, which use a very original way to refresh the memory by software, in fact, instead to do it by hardware. It was a nice project. Yeah.
Cool. And so you designed a video card using only TTL logic.
Yeah. TTL, but yes, without a specialized circuit. Yeah.
So what was the output? Just a black and white 5-volt TTL?
Yeah. It was black and white. It was just to display some. In fact, it was character ensemble because it was a very specialized card for an industrial system. So it was after by changing the PROM, you can change a lot of things, but basically it was for a really proprietary system. When I start electronics, I work in a company where some client ask for project, or this was very different kind of project, and I have to make the design. I do the design of the system, but only that, after when the design is finished, they built it, but it was not my job. My job was just to do the conception and design.
Well, speaking of proprietary, you've got other ways of doing video. For example, in this video,
it's an Easter egg. It's one of the Easter eggs of the Tektronix oscilloscope. Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah, this was a nice Christmas-related video, was it? Looks like a Christmas tree. Yeah. How did you do that? What did you generate the signals for this on?
In fact, this is built in the oscilloscope. In fact, this is what we call Easter eggs. I think that the Tektronix engineer has some free space in the ROM, so they put this. But it's just a K combination. Now maybe less, but in the past it was very the secret menu. Okay, it was very fun to add these Easter eggs. In the thing, in the first program I wrote on the Apple Macintosh, I have put a lot of things like that by using a special combination of mouse or key to have some strange, funny thing.
Oh, cool. I thought you were feeding it the correct X and Y signals to get that picture.
Yeah, but after it's not too difficult, and I know that you can find, as I know, some kits where you can program such thing, because I think that even with an Arduino, it can be easily to design this. The problem is that now very few oscilloscopes have the Z-axis control. So in fact, if you want to don't see the spot, you have to go very fast, okay, and to adjust the luminosity, because it's very sad, because it's sometimes very useful to add the Z-axis, but in fact these do not exist. I don't know. Very few digital oscilloscope has a Z-axis control.
Well, speaking of oscilloscope, I need to go back to our giveaway to answer Sebastian. What is the code word to enter the giveaway? Well, that's coming right up. This is the, we're giving away 2 of these, FNIRSI DPO X180H. It's a 2-channel phosphor oscilloscope, 180 megahertz, and it's a signal generator. Nice bit of kit there that we're giving away to 2 lucky viewers. And there's the giveaway page, and I'll give you the keyword. since Cyrob stands for cybernetics and robotics, the code word today will be cybernetics. So get in there, elektormagazine.com, Elektor Engineering Insights giveaways. Put the code word up on the screen. That will also help. And yeah, thanks to Sebastian for reminding us of that. Question from Luigi Onta. And now you're retired. What else are you thinking to do?
But in fact, I will, I started the project because my lab is too small. So I started to build a new lab. I call it the MecaLab, not for electronics, but more for mechanics, and to have the place. Because in fact, the problem I have in my lab is I have no place. So if I want just to repair a TV, for instance, it's not possible because I have no place to put it. So I want to make this new lab to have the place to work and to do some little mechanics on something like that. So I started to build in, but it's not finished. And now I just finished yesterday the front of it, and I want to do an electronic automatic door, like a little like a Star Wars, automatic door. So I want to do that. Of course, I will continue to make some videos, and no, I have a lot of projects. Before, a long time ago, I used to play electric guitar, and maybe I will start again to make some effect pedal, maybe some analog synthesizer, thing like that. But so I have a lot of projects, a lot of ideas. Maybe you notice that all the project I show is as a number, the CP for Cyrob product, CP, and now I have a lot of ideas to develop. So I will mainly do that. But as I say, it's a hobby for me. So now I can do what I want when I want. I have no special plan.
I can't wait to get around to that time of life when I can just do whatever I want, spend as much time on any project I want. Got a question here from Eschatology. Give us your YouTube page, please. Well, it's easy to find Cyrob. You just go to your search bar and type in Cyrob, and Philippe Demerliac will come up. And if you can take a closer look, the URL is there in case you need it. Another question, this one from Victor JS, who asks, now we spoke about this earlier briefly about my cheaper multimeter and your flute, but for lab equipment and tools, do you see any difference in quality between reputable brands and clones from Asia? Do you use different brands for different things?
Yes, but in fact, yes and no. They really changed the game, and it shows that now you can have a lot of equipment at a price which was unbelievable before, even for an oscilloscope. When I was young, a 20 megahertz oscilloscope, the price was about, it was in francs, but about 3,000 francs. So now it's more than the minimum salary in France at this time. Okay, so now you can have a lot of items at a very low price, and usually the quality is not too bad. You can have a very nice multimeters. Sigland, for instance, or Rigol make very a good product at a price which is very low. I have a Rigol spectrum analyzer, the 815. I have a Sigland one with capacitive string and so on. I think you know what was the price of logic of spectrum analyzer before. Now it's incredible to have such a powerful tool at this price. And I think that now some brand, they live a little bit on their reputation. Okay, so of course there are. If you see that you can have KSI electronics and so on, of course there are a lot of labels. There are a lot of normalization and things like that. Customer support. So of course this has a price, but in many cases, and especially for the amateur, for the hobbyist, no, you can have very nice product at very low price. And sometimes it's 10. For example, if you look for the solder station, okay, you can have a solder station maybe 10 times cheaper than the Weller or a nice one. Okay, so that means that even if you have it only for 1 year, okay, you can change it and have a new one every year instead to have one for a long time. So no, for me, I make a lot of review of Chinese brand, and usually the quality price ratio is very good. After one of the problem I saw is that some people they dream, you have always to compare the price, to make the comparison. You can compare an oscilloscope at 100 euro, okay, with a professional case site. It's a nonsense, You have always to compare with the same class, the kind of equipment. Okay, so but no, now I think it's very good because with a low budget, you can have a good power supply, a good multimeters, a good scope, and it's very better than what we have before, because before, instead to use the equipment, it was not possible. For example, when I started to work, I need a logic analyzer. We rent a Tektronix one. The rent was 1,000 francs. It was every day. Okay, so I use it one day to learn how to use it, and one day to debug my card. Okay, but the price of this item, the new, was incredible. It was impossible for a hobbyist to have one. Now I have a very good logic analyzer, for not for free, but for nothing. For 50, less than 100 euro, you can have a very powerful logic analyzer. So
yeah, it's crazy how the prices have come down, even on, for example, video equipment. In the 90s, a 20,000 euro video camera was not as good as the camera that's right here on my phone that everyone can afford now. So electronics has done some amazing strides. You did mention working on an effects pedal, Philippe. So question, any other audio projects that you have in mind?
But in fact, I do, on my channel, I do very few. I have made two, I remember. One is a test loudspeaker, and the other was a little Cyrob tracer. But yes, I'm not an audio specialist, hi-fi and so on. But I use, when I play electric guitar, to make some effect pedals. And I have an interest in analog synthesizer. So maybe in my project, I have to do this kind of equipment. But it's the same, the price is so low that before, when you do something yourself, it can be because it was cheaper. Now, no, when you do something yourself, usually it's because it's something that you can't find, on the market. But when you can have a very nice amplifier on system at very low price. So I think it's the goal now is not the price. The goal is to have something that you can't find on the market.
Yeah. thinking of the projects we used to make with discrete components like the 555 timer, and nowadays you can just get a cheap microcontroller and program it. It seems like a waste. The microcontroller is capable of so much, but you know what? It's cheaper and it's effective. What can you do? Compliments to you from eTech USA, says amazing workspace. I agree. And it seems like you're not only good at electronics, Philippe, you must be a good carpenter as well. Because as Francois says, and the shelves hold, that is amazing. You ever had a mishap where the shelf came down?
No, because normally there is some iron bar to that. So, okay, this seems to be a little bit to be bent, but no. Normally, I pray that it remains like that. Yeah.
Cool. Comment from Guy. At that time, he bought a TRS 80 Model 1. And he says it was a fantastic venture. Also Z80 based, if I'm not mistaken. And
Z80 or 8080, I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there it is. Z80.
Z80, yeah. In fact, I bought a ZX Spectrum when it was, the ZX Spectrum was a good computer. And I remember I have built a word synthesis, with the famous SPO 0256 with allophone, And I made a video because I found a project to have this circuit with a converter from text to speech. And I made a video on that. It was a very, of course, the voice is a little bit robotic. And it's funny because the allophone were designed for English speakers. So when you make it speak French, it's a little bit strange. Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you remember Stephen Hawking, I'm just going to add your video to the stage.
Yeah,
they offered to change his voice to make it more modern, but he liked his voice. He was attached to the old 80s synthesizer voice that he had. And yes, some of my favorite projects, and I was very quick to go and buy a speech synthesizer for my Texas Instruments computer in the 80s, because to make the computer talk was just mind-blowing for me. And did you find any practical use for a project to be converting from text to speech?
No, not yet. In fact, I had the idea to make it for a multimeter. So it may be an idea. But no, for now, it was just for the fun.
Yeah, and so much fun. Speaking of multimeters, question from you, Flip. What multimeter should a beginner use?
Oh, but for me, any multimeter with the basic function for a beginner is enough. What you need is you have to measure a voltage, and you don't need a very good precision. Even 6,000 pounds is quite enough. It's good if you have a capacitor, for instance. Something interesting is to have the continuity check and with a fast response, because this what you check is okay, but to start is enough. I think you don't need more to start. It's for me, it's enough to have that. So as I said, it's better for the same price to have one multimeter and one power supply than to buy a very nice multimeter, because a lot of function, a lot of measurement device now are a lot of function, but in fact you don't use it a lot. Even if you look in the oscilloscope, you have a lot of triggering system. Basically, okay, when do you really use it? It's like for 4-channel. For example, I prefer to have an oscilloscope with only 2 channels, but 2 separate settings for them. than a 4-channel where each time you want to change the channel, you have to select the channel and so on. This is why the segment, the 1202, I think is a very good scope because it has 2 separate channels. And in fact, to have 2 channels usually is sufficient. In fact, it's very few, except for making videos for training or thing like that. It's very few very few times you need 4 channels. So I think it's better to have a good 2 channel than having a 4 channel. It's the same for the bandwidth. Bandwidth now it's a kind of this is not the main. Okay, you have 100 megahertz bandwidth is usually completely sufficient. Maybe somewhere too much. So it's better, for example, to have a better sensitivity for me to invest than to have 200 megahertz bandwidth, because it's generally not using. And something that personally I don't like is the thing you do everything. You have now some oscilloscope, you make a power supply, a signal generator, oscilloscope, a coffee, whatever you want. For me, it's not the best. I prefer to have some separate, because, for example, if you have a good signal generator, independent, it's more easy to use, because when you use it with a scope, you always have to switch between all the functions, and it's not very practical. And to be honest, the integrated generator in the oscilloscope usually are not so good. There are some limited attenuation, so limited level, and things like that. The only thing which is good is you want to make the baud plot where it's interesting. But for example, on the Siglant, you can have the baud plot option by driving by USB a Siglant generator. So you have the both possibility.
And how many bench power supplies do you have, Philippe? That's another essential in your kit.
I think more than 20, yes, if I count the Tektronix plugins. But in fact, my favorite one is not. It's a linear one with analogic display for the voltage, because it's easy to use, fast response, and so on. So
I was
and
going to
of
say,
course, the problem of the switching power supply is that they're noisy. Usually. So, but now, yes, you can have very nice power supply. Even in switching, it's the possibility to have a very high current with a very low volume. Before, when you have a 10 amps power supply, it was a bit like that, very heavy. Now you can have 20 amps with a very small box.
And just look at this. I've got another question here. In the future, what is the evolution of electronics as a hobby? I did find that it seemed to go away a little bit in around the year 2000, when it was very expensive to program microcontrollers and you needed special tools. But then Arduino and Raspberry Pi came about, and we see a lot more makers happening. What do you think the future of electronics hobby will be, Philippe?
But it shows that now for the youngs, as you say, the low price on the very power of all these things, it's incredible. This is more powerful than the Cray-1, it's incredible. So, of course, now they do a lot of software. But I think that sometimes sometimes you need electronics anyway, because you need to have some conditioning of the signal. And if at the start you have analog, at the end you have analog, so you need some electronics. And sometimes it's very strange, because one day I saw a guy who used a microcontroller just to make the inversion of a LED. Okay, he has a LED with switch on, and he wants to have another LED with switch, the complementary. You can do that with a simple transistor, But he has used a microcontroller to do that. But if you look the price of the microcontroller with the price of the transistor, the resistance, it's quite the same, but it shows that it's completely overkill, somewhere to do that. So for me, it's a bit a shock. This is why in some project I continue to use TTL or CMOS circuit. Of course, it's more than it will be simplest in wiring and so on with a microcontroller, but it's more for the fun. But I think that in some project, I saw sometimes that the software part is good, but sometimes I think that yes, maybe it's important to have more work on the electronic parts, because now it's like in the software. The software now is very modular. It's plug and play. You take the nuggets package, okay. So there is a difference between integrator and developer. Most developer now are just integrators. They integrate some already built system together, and it's the same for electronics. But it shows that now you have some integrated circuit. We do everything, so you have to know how to use it. For example, you can make a class D amplifier. Now you just add two self, two capacitor, and you have a very nice amplifier. But so if you want just to have the result, it's okay. But with that, you learn nothing. It's at the end you are just a copy and paste. So the idea is that the question is, what do you want to do? You want just the result, so copy paste is perfect, okay? Or you want to understand to evaluate in your knowledge of electronics. So in this case, it can be most important to do your own conception, your own schematic to learn. It depends on what you want to achieve, in fact.
Yeah, and it is great to learn. I mean, I spoke about the Z80 here, where you had to assemble one pencil and paper. Now, I didn't have to do that. It wasn't necessary, but just doing it, it was fun, and it taught me a lot about microcomputers and microcontrollers. And speaking of microcomputers, now you built a lot of circuits with micros, but what was your first actual computer? Like G said, it was a TRS-80. I had my Texas Instruments. You mentioned you had a Macintosh, but what was the first computer that you got?
I got a Commodore PET 2001.
Okay, and the CPU in that one?
Sorry?
And the CPU in the Commodore PET? Also 6502.
Like the junior computer is a 6502.
Okay. Yeah. Just like the Apple II.
Yeah, it's like the Apple II, exactly, yeah. In fact, at this time, I booked the PET because it was integrated with the screen on the tape reader. But the problem is that the floppy disk price was very expensive. So this is that's another view of MecaLab. Yeah.
I'm just bringing this up because you're a loyal reader, and there's your May 1978. I go back to 1990. So this is about my first Elektor. Well, it's the second. It was a two-part that I needed, and you've got French Elektor going back to 1978. Did you find it very useful in the 80s? I mean, I loved the projects at the time, but I couldn't etch my own board, so I used to order the board from Elektor, which is not necessary anymore to etch them. You just send out to JLPCB. What was your hobbyist journey like through the 80s with the French Elektor?
But in fact, usually I never book the PCB because because I used to make some prototype. I do a lot of wiring, so sometimes wrapping, and now I use a lot of protoboard. I designed a special protoboard with a mass plane at the top, and because for me it's faster, to if you do only one to make the protoboard on the wiring than design the PCB, order the PCB, or before etching with the ferritic chloride and so on. But of course, after in my work, I designed a lot of PCB too, but it was not the same. It was not for me. But for now, I think that with company like GLP PCB, PCBWay, and so on, it's sure that you can have very nice PCB at very low cost with a double-sided enamel, everything. Yes, for me, it's not interesting now to do yourself the PCB. It's too much work. In fact, sometimes I do it only with my milling machine, but manually just to make English, what they call English engraving,
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I had boards made in about the year 2000, again, there was nothing for hobbyists. I had to buy 100 boards, even though I needed just a few, but 100 was the minimum quantity. Nowadays, you can send out for one board, which is great. And we're glad the hobbyist section of the industry has revived, and we've got makers and we've got people passionate about it, and we're still publishing books and magazines. So I want to thank you for being a loyal Elektor reader, Philippe. And I see we've run out of time. Our hour is up. But again, thanks for joining us, Philippe. And thank you for agreeing to do this in English, because there was no way I could do it in French.
Okay, you're welcome. It was a pleasure for me too. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. And as I said to our French audience, you can watch this on replay later, and you can turn on English subtitles. YouTube, I think, does a pretty good job of that. Don't forget the giveaway. As I said, we are giving away this Fluency oscilloscope. If you missed that part of the video, just rewind and enter, and good luck to you all. Thank you to everyone joining us from around the world, including our regulars like Frank de Hert and Sebastian from MecaLab. And once again, thank you, Philippe, and have a pleasant evening and a good rest of the week.
Thank you, you too. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Goodbye.